In this tutorial, we are going to cover setting up SDL 2.0 to run on Android using Eclipse and the native development kit. I will then go on to show you how to add support for C++11 and OpenGL ES 2.0. To follow along, you will need a couple of things. Firstly, the SDL 2.0 library. You can download this by following link 1 in the description below. Second, we need the Android development kit. This is a combination of Eclipse and the Android SDK. You can download this via link 2. Lastly, we need the Android native development kit. You can get that via link 3. In this tutorial, I will be working on OS X. However, development on Windows will follow very similar instructions. The first thing we need to do is make a copy of the Android project from the SDL directory. I'm going to place it on my desktop. In Eclipse, use File, New, Project, Android project from existing code, browse to your desktop and find the Android project, and click Finish. We can now add a C++ file to our Gini. Into the project JNI source, I'm going to drag a C++ file I've already created. This file initializes SDL video, creates a window, gets an OpenGL context, and loops polling for events, and each time it will print out the current count. Before running any NDK code in Android, it must be built from the command line using the NDK tools. The tool we're going to use here is simply ndk-build. Immediately we get an error saying that it cannot find an SDL file that it needs. If we look at the Android build file, we can see that it expects the SDL source files to be located in our parent directory in a folder called SDL. We could change that path, but instead I'm going to go up one directory and create a symbolic link using ln-s to the directory where I have SDL saved. And I'm going to place it in an SDL folder here that the build file is expecting. So now, again in the source file, if we try ndk build, SDL2 is building. Okay, so it now cannot build a file called yoursourcehere.cpp. Again, look in the Android build file, or make file, and we can see here that the local source files is trying to find a file called yoursourcefile.here.c. We don't have that file. We have main.cpp. Rebuild. I must have a dead character in the file. Yes. Okay, save that. And one last time. Our project is built successfully. So we can now try and run it on our device, which you can see here through the project, through an application called Droid at Screen. This allows you to mirror your actual phone on your desktop. OpenGL ES 2 isn't supported on the emulator, so once you start using it, you're pretty much going to have to do all your development on a hardware device. And if ever you need to record it, this is a very elegant and easy way to do it. It doesn't require you to root your phone, install any software, and it'll pretty much do it all for you simply by connecting your phone to your desktop via USB. So now if we run this, we will expect to see in the logging details about the width and height of the window, and every frame it should print out an incrementing counter. With verbose logging on, you get a lot of information about events, so it's quite easy just to change it to info, and that will give us a much reduced set of printed out data, which will make it easier for us to see what we need. Oh, well, because we modified it, we have to save it. I'm not sure what that's going to try and run. Well, it's running the previous build, which was still correct. So we can see here that it's printing out an incrementing number, and the screen has gone blank because we're not displaying anything. And if we scroll up to the top, we can see that it also got the correct screen size. So now we shall try and add, well, first of all, that's SDL 2.0 running correctly on your Android phone via the NDK. It was pretty simple. So now we'll try and add some OpenGL ES2. The header files for OpenGL ES2 on the Android are these. And for ease of development, I'm simply going to set the GL clear color to a random RGB and clear the screen every frame. You can see we've already set up the window to use OpenGL, and we've created our GL context. So if we save that, and again try an NDK build, which was successful. Now if we try and run, there you go, the screen has been updated every frame with a random color. On my actual device sitting in front of me, it's updating multiple times a second, but the latency with updating on this desktop display is obviously a lot slower. Now we'll try and add some support for STL. STL string is a nice, simple one to use. Nice and simple. Simply create a string and log it using the SDL log. So if we try and build that, we get a failure that it doesn't know what string is. Or it can't find the string file from this include string. So back in terminal, if you go up to the parent directory and look at the application make file, you can see here that's the app STL, which is commented out. Comment that in, or well, uncomment it. Move back to the source file and try to build it again. Because the application build has been changed, it does a rebuild on the entire project. This time we have a successful build, so now let's run it via Eclipse. So let's scroll down to the bottom, and we can see there we have the line, this is a standard string. So the last thing we're going to cover in this tutorial is how to use C++11 with the NDK. A nice simple way to show that will be to use a shared pointer. So first of all, I'm going to create a simple class. With a public method, and it's this method that's going to update the string. So now in here, shared pointer graphics. So let's save that and try and build it. Okay, so in function SDL main, we have an error that shared pointer was not declared. And I believe that you might need to include memory for this. We still get the problem, so it's a bit deeper than just including the correct header file. So after a bit of research on the internet, I found that the issue lies with the version of SDL that's included here. So rather than including the SDL port static, if we modify this to be GNU SDL static, and try and build it again. Again, because we've changed the application make, it's going to do a rebuild. Another thing I forgot, this is a list of instructions to do here. We need to tell the project that we're actually using C++11. So in the Android.mk file, we want to add a local C flags is equals to minus STD equals C++11. Good, we have a successful build. So now if we run from Eclipse again, we're updated. So this has been a pretty simple tutorial showing firstly how to set up SDL 2.0 using the Android SDK. Secondly, we've started to use OpenGL ES2 directly from within this SDL program. And thirdly, we are now using C++11 and advanced features such as shared pointers.